Hi, I'm here with Yesha Patel. Yesha and I met at the Aussie Founders Club Female Founders Breakfast, which was amazing, wasn't it?
It was so good.
So good. I'm so grateful that Megan's doing those, and I can't wait to see what the cadence of that program is going to be. And I wanted to interview Yesha as a young, fantastic entrepreneur, particularly with the work that I'm doing with young female founders. So, Yesha, why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about After.
Thanks for having me here, Pip. My name is Yesha, and originally born and bred in New Zealand, moved over to Australia in 2019 to do my master's, my postgraduate study. I did a master's of entrepreneurship, and I had always known at that point in my life that I wanted to start a business. I didn't really want to go into corporate. I did a Bachelor of Commerce, and everyone around me was going for grad and corporate roles in like Big Four, but I it just didn't attract me as much, and I think I wanted to look for something more impactful and purposeful. But I was so young, I didn't know what that even was. What was I even good at? What was I passionate about? I didn't really know at the time. So I think at the point in 2019, I felt, let me just build my toolkit. Let me build my skills, learn a little bit more. I enjoy learning. And that's why came over here to do the master's. And it was part of that master's program towards the end in the capstone subject that I came up with the idea for After and started the business. So it was in the middle of lockdown. It was mid 2021, and I would consume a lot of fast fashion, and I was pretty oblivious to the impact of it on people, on the environment, and I'd get a thrill from going to the shops and shopping online. And then a lot of the clothes in my wardrobe would not be the best quality. They would, wear out quite fast. And I couldn't give them to the op shops or donate them. I couldn't give them to friends or family because they just weren't that nice. And it felt wrong to throw it in the bins.
Mm,
So I remember jumping online and there was nothing really there. There was nothing for the everyday consumer like myself. There was not many convenient options as well. Maybe there were some bins here and there I could take the clothes to. At the time, I didn't have a car, so I'm not going to carry a big bag on the tram. And it just felt like there were no options at all, which actually was a bit frustrating because it's why was it so hard to recycle our clothing and textiles properly when we can recycle other household waste pretty
mm,
easily? We all wear clothes, we all have textiles in some form or the other, but clothing was just a tricky one, and I felt like there were just no options online. So that's when I did a bit more research, and I learned about the textile waste problem and actually how much waste we're producing in Australia and New Zealand. We just don't see the waste. We're really good at sending the waste offshore to other landfills, to other
mm.
countries like in Africa or Asia, and we are consuming a lot. One of the stats that I still use to this day is that Australians are throwing away 6,000 kilos every 10 minutes.
Mm.
We're one of the worst. I think we're in the top 5 worst countries in the world of producing waste, and we're not a big country compared to
No,
other ones in
our
the world.
population's not that big.
Yeah, yeah. So it was just obviously there's a problem here. Obviously there's a gap here. It's hard to recycle our textiles from home. And I think that opened up my eyes a lot. So from then I stopped buying new clothes. I decided I would just stop buying clothes. If I did buy, I would buy secondhand, or if I wanted to dress a bit nicer, I would rent or go to clothes swap, but I would stop buying new clothes. And obviously that was a big change for myself personally, but I also wanted to do a bit more, and the problem was much bigger than myself.
Mm,
And that's when I decided to start After. So, what After is a recovery collection service for unwearable clothing and textiles. It is for those clothes that is torn, worn, stained. You can't give to your op shops. You can't give to friends or family. Collect clothing, towels, bedding, pillows, uniforms, socks with holes in them. Just, the not so good items. We collect it from your doorstep, whether you're a household or a business, and we pass it on to recyclers and upcyclers. So it could be recycled into felt material, it could be recycled into yarn again. We work with local communities and designers and schools to upcycle it when they're able to make new fashion or furniture pieces and
Amazing.
basically repurpose it into something new. And so our goal is to divert as many textiles from landfills as possible. We've diverted around 27,000 kilos of textiles to date.
Amazing.
And we're based in Melbourne, but we've launched over in Sydney and we've also launched in Auckland in New Zealand.
Yesha, it's so inspiring to hear that story because I've done a lot of work in circular economy over the last 12 months. And yeah, it's opened my eyes to the issues that we're suffering with waste. I mean, waste is such a big problem. So congratulations. So you talked about doing your Masters of Entrepreneurship. Where did you do that?
University of Melbourne.
And so did you grow up in an entrepreneurial environment?
I think I did. It was subtle, and I probably did not think of it at the time. I didn't even know the word entrepreneurial at the time, but when I look back, yeah, probably. My dad was very entrepreneurial. He still is very entrepreneurial. He was very much just chase your dreams, do good, give back to the community. He would
Yeah.
always make my sister and I volunteer whenever we could. He would be volunteering.
Did they run their own businesses, your parents?
Yeah, yeah. So my dad started an accounting practice. They moved over to New Zealand as immigrants in 1993. My sister and I were born over there, and they struggled. They didn't know anyone in New Zealand. My mum was still learning to speak English. I remember my mum would say she had to look up on the world map to see where New Zealand even was. It's like in the corner of the world.
Yeah, it's
So they started
imagine.
from,
Yeah.
yeah, as most immigrants, they started from nothing and they had to, work hard. They had to sacrifice a lot, but they've come a very, very long way. Yeah, they're very successful now.
Yeah, amazing. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? What's your most favorite thing?
It's just so fun. Every day looks so different. I did have a corporate job part time for a couple of years when I was doing after, and that would be the same every day. Whereas for after every day, now that I'm full time on it, it's just so different. There's like, I'm going somewhere new, I'm meeting new people, I'm so involved and there's so much excitement. And the biggest part where I get the most excitement from is that I can see like the direct impact of my work and my actions. I can see that every day, whether it's like some customer coming back to us and giving us some really nice feedback, or I'm counting how many kilos we've diverted this month, or we've just signed up on a new business. I can see something like that every day in some form or the other.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
yeah, it's really purposeful.
I love that idea that, and it's true, when you run your own business, every day is different. Sometimes that can feel a bit overwhelming, but most of the time it actually feels to me quite exciting. You know, one day you might be building a website, the next day you might be having an interview. Yeah, there's just the ability to be able to jump across different things, I think is what works. When you were young, do you remember being a creative tween? Were you like that?
I was probably creative in the way that I would enjoy trying new things. I wasn't creative in the sense of art and being artistic. I was probably
No.
creative in other ways, which
Yeah.
at
I
the
think
time, to me, creativity was just an art, and that's
mm,
what I was not good at. But again, now that I look back, I think I probably was more creative in other ways.
when I talk about creativity, I talk about ideas. Like, so how that is executed might be through art or dancing. But I remember I would create a little startup business. I would draw faces and then apply different makeup looks to these faces, or I would make up dance moves with my cousins.
Yeah.
I'm still am an avid reader. I love reading. I love stories. So that's what I mean by creative.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I definitely was. I loved dancing as well. And I loved coming up with dances. And yeah, I think I would just play the most interesting like games on my own.
Yeah.
I would love to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher when I was young, so I would have like a whiteboard and a roll call and things like that. I think I had little like businesses here and there, like with some friends, did like we had a food store where we were selling like burritos, and it was just I found so much joy in doing those things. Like it was just so much fun
Yeah.
to sell.
Tell me about how old were you when you had your burrito stand?
I probably would have been around 12 or 13. I was pretty young, but it was great.
Did you make the burritos or did you rope in your parents?
My mum definitely like made the filling. Our job, it was like four of us girls, including my sister, and we had like little of the Mexican hats on as well to look the part. And we had like an assembly line between the four of us. So we'd just kind
So
of
good.
make it up and would sell it. And we sold out. I remember that very clearly. We sold out pretty fast.
Was it just outside your house or?
No, it was actually this other event that we had to like we took part in, and like everyone kind of had to come up with like their own stall, whether it was food or like selling something or some kind of service. And we just knew that food sells, burritos sell.
So
So
good. I was always doing things like that as well. Pretending I was at work when I was 11. I don't
yeah,
know, I was running a business or something. It was
yeah, but
hilarious.
I think at the time you don't. I mean, I didn't see it as me being creative. It was just fun, To me, it
Mm.
was just a lot of fun and happiness.
Yeah, the word joy is so accurate. Like when you see these girls' faces, when I talk to these 11-year-old girls about the businesses that they're doing, they don't think of them as businesses. But one girl, for instance, was making jewelry for her girlfriend, and I was like saying to her, "Right, now are you just giving those away?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Right, we're now selling those for $7 each or something." And she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, great." But the joy in her face was amazing.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about what I'm doing, which is the first part of something bigger, which is what I call the mini startup toolkit for the tween girl. What are your thoughts about that?
I think yeah, I did read up on it a little bit, and I think it's so important and powerful to equip young girls. And I mean, I wish I had this myself too, like with the confidence and with the tools. And I said I went to study a master's to build my toolkit, but also like a mindset so that they can see themselves as entrepreneurs and leaders and creators, and have that kind of language as well from very early on. Like we're
Mm,
saying we didn't even know these things was like, I don't know, like I had an entrepreneurial family back then because I didn't know what that word even meant. It's really powerful to, I think, for this kind of language and the tools for these young girls to see themselves as, a business owner and a leader in whatever they choose to do. And I think if I had something like this growing up, I would have felt way more comfortable in just owning my ideas. I would always second guess all the time. And I think I did that a lot as well when I was younger. And I would have an idea, but I wouldn't share it because I wouldn't feel confident enough. I wouldn't back myself enough. And
yeah,
I definitely didn't have, things like the playbook to give me that confidence and that mindset change. I think a lot of women, girls and women of all ages think I'm not good enough
yeah,
or this is not good enough, and that's why we
mm.
don't share. And I think like I still definitely have that, and I think this can also help tackle that mindset.
Yeah, it's so interesting because the data says that when girls are exposed to entrepreneurial thinking, like you were organically with your parents, that they're more likely to start businesses, feel good about themselves, be in leadership positions in corporate, be financially stable. There's all these positive effects of growing up in an entrepreneurial environment or having exposure to entrepreneurial thinking. But the other thing that makes me feel sad, and I think I definitely had that experience, was when you go through your teenage years, all that confidence goes away. So, I think the data, there's a study in Denmark that says from 14, girls' confidence to start a business or have ideas or back themselves starts to drop dramatically. Interestingly, for boys, it goes up. Why do you think that is for girls? From your own experience, do you think?
I think the roles of women start to become, well, I'm going to say the roles of women that we I think are normal for women start to become more obvious when we're teenagers, and that means, yes, I had it, like, for myself, I had an entrepreneurial family, but to me still it was my dad. It was a male figure that was running the business. My mum was still at home. She was taking care of me and my sister. So I think those roles become more normalized in society. When you're a teenager, is a lot more of like caring more about what do you look like and how do you look like, what are you wearing to school.
Yeah, I like to call it the teenage nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah.
For girls particularly, there's an expectation of fitting in,
Yeah.
and that it seems to affect us. I don't know. I don't really know exactly why it affects us, or if it does affect us more than boys, or whether boys just don't sort of acknowledge that as a feeling. But I think there's a couple of things. Obviously, there's not as many women running businesses. Only a third of women run businesses globally, so that stat would change by country. Yeah, it's about seeing other women who, like yourself, who have running businesses successfully and doing a great job.
Yeah.
That's part of my big mission for this, is to build the next generation of leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is leaders, right? Like, I think even just like prime ministers, if you think about the prime ministers growing up, how often did you see female prime ministers globally? Like, not many. It was always men in suits,
Yeah.
always. And that's what we were shown. And I think for me as well, hardly seeing people of color that looked like me, hardly. I still don't see it as much, but like, it's just, that's what you grow up seeing. Then that, of course, that would change your view.
Yeah, that's right. We girls, I don't know if you grew up with
Wow.
like things like that. So now thinking about all the amazing things that you've done and what you've seen and heard and experienced, what would you actually tell your 11-year-old self?
Oh, this is a good question. I would just say that business is not just for men in suits. It's for problem solvers, creatives, um, and just people that want to do good as well. I think I would say that your voice and your ideas, your perspective matters, and share it. Don't wait for someone to give you permission to share it. Like, don't be afraid to share it. Speak loudly and share your ideas. Be bold and be proud about it. And also, no question is a dumb question, because I think a lot of the times when we would have people come speak to us, I would not. I would just feel like, oh, I have a question, but it's like, I just didn't have the confidence.
Me too.
Just
I've always got a million questions. I'm always asking questions. I know it probably drives people bonkers, but I mean, I'm always asking questions. How old are you? What are you doing? When did you start? Tell me more about that. I'm just like, I want to know so many things. I'm the
yeah.
same.
There were so many times in school or even in my postgrad, undergrad, like, would have people, guest speakers, come and share their stories. And I would be so inspired and I'd have these questions, but I'd still just lack that confidence. And it takes time. I think it takes time. And I think now I'm a lot more confident to ask those questions. But same with questions and ideas, just be proud and share them.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Yesha. That's amazing. Such incredible feedback. And you've got an amazing business. Well done. It's
Thank
so
you.
great.